If you have ADHD and feel like you can learn things insanely fast but still struggle to stay consistent, this will show you exactly why your brain works this way and how to turn it into your biggest advantage. Your brain is not slow, it is just wired differently, and that difference can make you learn faster than most people if you stop fighting it and start using it. This video is about ADHD, fast learning, curiosity, dopamine, pattern recognition, and how distraction is not always a weakness, but often a misdirected strength. We are going to break down why ADHD brains can absorb skills quickly, why they still struggle with consistency, and how to turn that into a real advantage instead of wasted potential. Let's start with something most people get completely wrong. People think ADHD means poor focus. That is not accurate. ADHD is not a lack of focus. It is inconsistent focus. And that changes everything. Because when focus finally locks in, it does not look normal. It becomes intense, narrow, and fast. This is what people call hyperfocus. When someone with ADHD gets interested in something, their brain basically says, "This matters right now." Dopamine spikes, attention narrows, and suddenly, hours pass without effort. This is the first reason ADHD brains can learn faster. They do not learn slowly over long, boring sessions. They learn in bursts, and those bursts are extremely efficient. Think about how most people learn. They sit, they try to focus, they force themselves through information, and progress is steady but slow. Now compare that to someone who dives deep for 3 straight hours, fully engaged, testing, exploring, making connections. That intensity compresses time. 3 hours for them can equal 10 hours for someone else. But here's the catch. They cannot control when this happens. So the same brain that learns fast also feels unreliable. Now let's go deeper. The second reason is curiosity-driven learning. ADHD brains are strongly driven by interest. If something feels boring, the brain resists it hard. But if something feels interesting, even slightly, the brain chases it aggressively. This creates a powerful advantage, because learning is always faster when it is driven by curiosity instead of obligation. When you are curious, you ask more questions. When you ask more questions, you understand better. When you understand better, you remember longer. So, an ADHD brain often skips the surface level and goes straight into exploration. They do not just read something once and move on. They click, search, compare, test, and connect ideas quickly. This builds a deeper mental map in less time. But again, there is a downside. If the topic does not trigger curiosity, the brain shuts down. So it is not about intelligence, it is about activation. Now here's the third reason, and this one is powerful. Pattern recognition. ADHD brains are often very good at spotting patterns, connections, and shortcuts. Instead of memorizing everything step by step, they look for the underlying structure. They ask, what is the logic here? Once they get that, they can jump levels quickly. For example, instead of memorizing 10 formulas, they try to understand the rule behind them. Instead of following instructions blindly, they experiment. This is why many people with ADHD seem to learn things randomly, but suddenly become very good very fast. It looks chaotic from the outside, but inside, the brain is connecting dots rapidly. Now let's address something important. If ADHD brains can learn faster, then why do they struggle so much in school or work? Because the system is designed for consistency, not intensity. School rewards steady effort, repetition, and long periods of controlled focus. ADHD brains operate on cycles of high engagement and low engagement. So they fall behind not because they cannot learn, but because they cannot maintain the same pace every day. This creates a dangerous belief. I am not disciplined, I am not capable. But that is not true. You are just using a system that does not match how your brain works. So now the real question, how do you actually use this fast learning ability instead of wasting it? This is where most people fail. They know they can learn fast sometimes, but they cannot turn it into results. So let's fix that. First, you need to stop relying on motivation and start using triggers. You cannot wait to feel like doing something. Instead, you need to make starting extremely easy. Pick a tiny entry point. Not study for 2 hours. Just open the book. Just watch one video. Just solve one problem. Why this works is simple. ADHD brains resist starting, not doing. Once you start, there is a chance of slipping into focus. So your job is not to finish the task. Your job is to enter the task. Second, you need to design for hyperfocus. Most people treat hyperfocus like an accident. You need to treat it like a weapon. When you feel even a slight interest or momentum, remove everything else. No phone, no notifications, no switching. Let the brain go deep. These sessions are where most of your real learning will happen. Not in forced routines, but in these intense bursts. Third, use interest to your advantage. If something is boring, do not force it in its raw form. Change the format. If reading is boring, watch. If watching is boring, practice. If practice is boring, gamify it. The goal is not to follow one method. The goal is to stay engaged long enough to learn. Fourth, break everything into visible progress. ADHD brains struggle with delayed rewards. So you need quick feedback. Instead of saying, I will learn this chapter, say, I will understand this one concept. Instead of saying, I will practice for an hour, say, I will complete 5 problems. This creates small wins. And small wins release dopamine, and dopamine keeps you going. Fifth, externalize your system. Do not rely on memory. Write things down. Track what you are doing. Use simple systems like checklists or progress boards, because your brain is good at ideas, not at holding structure. So give it structure from the outside. Now here's the part most people ignore. Energy management. Your brain is not just attention-based. It is also energy-based. Sleep, food, movement, all of this directly affects your ability to focus. If your energy is low, your focus will be scattered. So if you want to learn faster, you need to protect your energy first. Even small changes like consistent sleep or short walks can make a huge difference. Now let's bring everything together. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, is not a disadvantage in learning. It is a different learning style. You are not built for slow, steady, predictable progress. You are built for fast, deep, interest-driven learning. Your problem is not speed. Your problem is direction and consistency. So, stop trying to learn like everyone else. Start working with your brain instead of against it. Use small starts to enter tasks. Use hyperfocus to go deep. Use curiosity to stay engaged. Use small wins to keep momentum. Use systems to stay organized. And protect your energy so your brain can actually function. If you do this, something interesting happens. What used to feel like a weakness starts becoming your biggest advantage. You stop feeling behind. You start catching up fast. And sometimes you even move ahead. Not because you worked harder, but because you finally worked in a way that matches how your brain actually works. And that is the shift that unveils the genius inside you.